I wanted to go over this article because it says Arcane Studios founder brands Game Pass unsustainable and damaging. Now, I've been saying for a long time, I know a lot of people love Game Pass. I mean, you do get quite a bit of a bang for your buck. You know, you pay like, I don't know, what is it, $20 a month, something like that, and you get access to a lot of games, which is great for the consumer. But at the flip end, because okay, as much as I'm pro consumer and I'm against anti-consumer practices, I also understand that there needs to be a balance that the business providing said product or service, they need to be able to continuously sustain that service. And I always felt like eventually Game Pass was going to implode. At least that's what I always thought. And it looks like that could begin to start happening. So here we have Arcane Studios founder brands Game Pass as unsustainable and damaging. And it says it's no big secret that not everyone agrees with the Game Pass operating model. Historically, the service has come under fire for not doing as much for developers. That's the key thing. Does it even help developers? Because my understanding is they don't make a lot of money from that service, especially smaller ones. And yeah, and if I was an indie, as someone who is making his own game, so I can kind of classify myself as an indie developer, if I finish my game, I would absolutely not want it on something like Game Pass at all. I would rather people buy my game, because what is Game Pass going to do for me exactly? As far as I can tell, nothing. Unless they're giving out like the way I can see Microsoft operating this behind the scenes, and I know a little bit about how Microsoft operates behind the scenes, because I used to make games for back in the day on the Xbox 360. They had the indie games section, not the arcade, but the indie games. And how that worked was you'd make a game, you would have basically your competition peer review your game, and if it passed peer review, then it would get uploaded to the marketplace. And you first of all, your game had to hit a certain threshold of money made before they'd even pay you out. And I can almost see Microsoft having something behind the scenes here where, maybe they pay out so much cents per hour played or something, probably like something similar to how ad revenue works. And I can imagine it's abysmal for developers. And someone like an indie, say you get your game up there and you don't even meet that threshold, you're not making a dime. That's just the reality. It says, in a post on social media, Rafael Colinto suddenly asked why nobody is talking about the elephant in the room, presumably in the wake of the recent Microsoft layoffs, like I just talked about, that heavily impacted Xbox and many associated studios. The elephant in this case is Game Pass, and when someone asked him for his perspective, he didn't hold back. So we're going to get into that statement here. Says, I think Game Pass is an unsustainable model. I agree. I've felt like it's been unsustainable for a long time. Like I said, great for the consumer, but definitely bad for the business. So I'm kind of taking an opposite viewpoint on this one. Has been increasingly damaging to the industry for a decade, subsidized by MS infinite money. But at some point, reality has to hit. I don't think GP can coexist with other models. They're either kill everyone else or give up. An hour later, it's a physical copy of I want a physical copy of Fortnite. I think at one point they did. So the thing about Fortnite, let me get into that real quick before I continue the article. Interesting fact about Fortnite. What it is now is not what it was originally supposed to be. It was originally conceived by Cliff Bolinsky, who, as you know, is the creator of Gears of War. And they showed an early trailer for Fortnite. I think it was at the Video Game Awards way back as early as 2000. I want to say it was 2011, maybe 2010, 2011. I think it was more around 2011, somewhere around there. I'll have to look it up. And so at one point there should have been a physical copy of Fortnite. And it was definitely not what it is now. It was not a battle royale. It was a survival type game. One of these days I'll see if I can find the old not trailer, but the announcement for it. But yeah, I think there might have been physical copies of Fortnite when it first came out, to be completely fair. Yeah, because at one point I think you had to buy the game. When it first came out, you had to buy the game. I remember seeing it on the store. Could be wrong, but I think I do remember seeing that. Anyway, that rant aside, uh, yeah, so he talked about how, yeah, it's unsustainable. I don't know why this ad is in my way. I can't read what it says. Let me refresh. I hate when they put ads in your way. It's so annoying. Okay, now it's in the right spot. So he says, what happens when all the money runs out? It's the most vocal concern in my network and one of the main economic reasons people I know haven't shifted to its business model. It hasn't stopped a lot of people from trying, though. Like Amazon tried it, I think Google tried it, everyone's tried it. The infinite money thing never made any sense. Well, that's because here's the problem with a subscription service for video games. Maybe it benefits the publisher, but it will kill the developer. The pair touched on cannibalization of sales, which is one of the core concerns with Game Pass, and it has. Look at what happened with a lot of games that came out that nobody really even wanted to begin with. They tried it out on Game Pass first to see if they would even like it, and they realized they didn't, so they didn't go out and buy the game. Developer or publisher launches a game exclusively on Game Pass. Nobody technically pays for their game except for Microsoft paying to get it on the catalog. Dell's admitted that it's a good thing for de-risking projects for smaller teams, but the buck stops there. Absolutely agree. I'm not going to go into the rest of the article. I absolutely agree with that. That is, it's not good for the developer. It is good for the consumer, but not the developer. And I can see eventually Game Pass imploding at some point. If you want to support indie developers or any kind of video game industry stuff, actually pay for the game, actually buy the game. That's the best way to support a developer that you actually like.